Everyone, back with another 1+ year review, this time with my GET RxD GHD, so it's glute ham developer. Let's take a quick look at it today. So I've had this guy for about 2 years now. I ordered it Black Friday 2 years ago, so we're getting pretty close. Overall, you can see paint and everything has held well. You shouldn't really be banging plates or anything against this, so you shouldn't see any real dense dings or anything in the paint, the powder coat, anything like that. The pads themselves have held together well, even after plenty of use. Same thing with these guys, so that's a good job on their part. So let's talk about the function itself. So first, let's talk about the pads. One, you'll notice the gap here. That is for your junculars, so that they don't get caught and trapped while doing your exercises. If you do not have junculars and you don't have someone you lift with that has junculars, you may be good and be able to skip that part and get the single pad. But if not, that is a highly recommended piece. You'll also notice that it is angled down a bit. So the nice thing here is that angle with the angled foot pad means the hamstrings are activated a bit more. It makes it a bit tougher. If you need support, you can always use a bar and prop yourself up a bit, which is good. But this is a nice ability to make this or progress as you get stronger and stronger. The pad is made out of like 4 pieces total. So there's a nice dense piece here. There's a slightly softer piece here, and then a much softer piece here, and then this kind of faux leather, whatever this is called, neoprene something material on top. So from a function standpoint, it works really well. Knees don't hurt, nothing. If you're laying on it, it's great. From a visual stance, the one thing I don't like is see how there's kind of this lip right here right now? That's because the 3 different pieces aren't actually attached, and so you end up with this kind of annoying gap at times. I'm being really nitpicky, so it's not that big of a deal, but if I could tell them to fix that, just sew the pieces together somehow and you'd be good. That would make these pads pretty much perfect. So let's go to the foot plate. The foot plate is, in my opinion, big enough, which is important. Sometimes you get these foot plates that are like this big. You can't put your heel and toes on them at the same time, which is kind of important to get the proper movement down. You also notice that these are nice and firm, which is perfect, so you can protect kind of your shins or ankles and everything and get a nice push. No issues there. As I mentioned, it is also angled to match here. If those did not line up, we would have issues. So let's look at the adjustments. So one of the selling points of this model is the linear bearing adjustments here. You can see it moves and slides very easily. I don't know that after 2 years of use that's that big of a deal. So I use this for GHDs, back extensions, reverse hypers, and my wife as well. I put it on, I think it's about the 6th hole for most work. If I'm doing reverse hypers, it might go back a few more just so my arms can be outstretched. My wife is maybe 1 hole different. It's not that big of a deal if this was a typical pop pin to adjust and move 1 hole or 2 holes. If you have multiple athletes at multiple times, all at one time. So if you've got, say, a 5'2" person, a 5'8" person, and a 6'6" person, it might make sense to have the linear bearing because you're going to be moving it back and forth and in and out and all sorts of stuff while you guys are switching back and forth. If you don't have multiple lifters, it's just not that big of a deal. And I, again, specifically mean multiple lifters at one time. So the adjustments up and down are just your typical pop pin. The one thing that's kind of annoying about the linear bearing being so smooth is that then using the pop pin here sucks in comparison. If they were both pop pin, you wouldn't really have a comparison as to how nice this is and how shitty this is. So ideally you'd have either both linear bearing or both pop pin, so you wouldn't have this nice and bad contrast. Otherwise, the adjustments are easy. The unit doesn't shake much at all. I mean, this isn't bolted down or anything, and you can see it barely moves. That's with me purposefully trying to shake it back and forth. I've done no tightening of bolts or anything over the 2 years I've had it. You can see the wheels in the back, which are a very nice addition if you have to move the unit at any point. I used to store this on my platform and move it out every day, so that was a huge win for me. The handles out front can greatly assist that movement pattern, as well as support band pegs, or be used as band pegs. So you can add bands for resistance, which is awesome. One of the other pieces here is the step-up plate. This is probably one of the weakest portions of the entire unit. So let's see if you can see. That's just with my hand. My 240-pound frame makes that wobble a lot more. It hasn't broken. I haven't fallen or eaten shit or anything like that on it, so it's probably not going to go anywhere anytime soon, but it's a little not enjoyable to stand on something and have it kind of tilt side to side. So it'd be nice if that was a little bit more reinforced. Other than that, the unit's great. Sorry about that, camera cut out, battery died. So final wrap up. The GHDs, as a whole, it does everything I would want it to do. You can get a similar model from multiple companies. So Rep Fitness, GET RxD, and several others make this same kind of build. Titan makes their Rogue clone, which is stupidly cheap, but comes at the warning of it is Titan and has mixed reviews from everyone. And of course Rogue makes their two different models, Legend, all kinds of people. So you have plenty of different options depending on your needs, your want, whatever it is. My most common use for this is actual glute ham raises, not GHD sit-ups. So that was the key purpose for buying this. I do use it for that on occasion. I use it for other things. But glute ham raises, back extensions, and some body weight reverse hyper work is the primary use. So if you need a GHD, this is definitely one to consider. I have very few complaints. It does exactly what I want on a regular basis. It goes nowhere and was at a decent price. So thanks. Bye.